notifications on our phone popping up. Monday, the Department of Education being rolled back. Tuesday, citizenship. I get how all of it can make us feel despair. And I get how even it can make the best of us feel like giving up and giving in. And trust me, that is by design. That is by design. When the system is stacked against you, it's hard to feel like anything you do matters. It's hard to feel like we matter in this democracy. And it is easy to give in to despair. And I can tell you that for a while there, when I was working double shifts, tired to the bone, I did try to give up. I tried to stop caring. I tried to just keep my head down and work my shifts and accept that this is just it and this is how things are. We do not have to live like this. We cannot live like this anymore. Trump does see the immense pressure that working people are under. But his answer is an America that operates on the principle of every man for himself. Divide and conquer. And now that Trump is back in power, we see it clear as day. He's handed the keys to Elon Musk. He's selling off our country for parts to the wealthiest people in the world for a kickback. And in exchange, those billionaires and oligarchs will back his campaigns and bankroll those of his allies. They scratch his back, and he scratches theirs. And all of us are left behind. And the clever thing that these guys sell is making working people like you and me believe that we're just one step outside from that club. That we're just a little bit out from being able to be a billionaire too, right? Any billionaires in this room? I didn't think so. Now, it's this idea that if we just work hard, we too can have nation-state level money. Except these kinds of spoils aren't earned, really. They aren't working for these billionaires. They're stealing them. Are doing to our health care, our veterans benefits, and Social Security. Programs that we and you have spent a lifetime paying into. And by the way, not them, because those billionaires haven't paid their fair share of taxes in years. And mind you, even if you're not on Medicaid or Medicare, this also raises your private health insurance costs too. And let's talk about Medicaid and Medicare for a second. Because your representative, Gabe Evans, you know that guy that hasn't been showing up for the last couple months? Maybe he hasn't been showing up because he voted to cut Medicaid. In fact, every single House Republican voted to cut Medicaid. And they'll tell you, no, I didn't, it didn't say that. That's what it from the committee that's in charge of Medicaid. And so now they're trying to play a game and say, we didn't do that because they did by proxy, okay? So let's set the record straight. And you see, these budgets aren't just fights about numbers. They are fights over the values that define us as Americans. Medicare security were built on promises that we have made to each other about who and what kind of country we want to be and what kind of society we want to live in. Healthcare and Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, these are not promises from politicians to people. They are not charities or handouts from billionaires to the working class. This is our money. Promises that we have made to each other as Americans. From neighbor to neighbor, teacher to student, friend to friend. And what we can say to Elon Musk is get out of our healthcare. Because to me, Greeley, the strength of our country is not just measured by the height of our best days. It's measured by who we are and who is there for us on our worst. You today. So let me share with you exactly what I mean. Because what these folks want to call radical and crazy, I think are just common sense. We live in the wealthiest nation in the history of the world. So I believe that when a person gets sick, they shouldn't go bankrupt. Common sense. I believe that a minimum wage should cover the minimum cost to live. And by the way, we should see that not paying a living wage is also a form of corporate welfare and handouts. Because big companies like Walmart and Amazon rely on food stamp programs and public assistance to cover the wages that they won't pay. Really? Here's another crazy radical idea for you. I believe that homes are not slot machines for investors and Wall Street. To extort working families out of every last dollar that we have. Home is sacred. And when your landlord doubles your rent overnight, or when housing prices skyrocket because Wall Street treats our housing market like a casino, your government and your public servants should fight to help you keep an affordable roof over your head. Crazy. And I believe that our elected officials should take on abuses of corporate greed everywhere we find it. We must get big money out of politics. That's why I don't and never will take money from industry lobbyists or corporations. You know, mass media and Fox News and the right will have you believe that these American values are something out of the Communist Manifesto. They believe that we think these things because we went to some fancy college and read them in a book somewhere. But I'll tell you, I don't believe in healthcare, labor, and human dignity because I'm an extremist or a Marxist. I believe it because I was a waitress. Because I scrubbed toilets with my mom to afford school. Because I've worked double shifts to keep the lights on. Because I lost my dad to cancer as a kid and had to see my mom open hospital bills in the days after. And I don't want us to live like this anymore, Greeley. We deserve better than this. And this isn't just about Republicans. We need a Democratic Party that fights harder for us too. means are communities choosing and voting for Democrats and elected officials who know how to stand for the working class. And I want to thank the entire state and each and every one of you for working so hard to make that happen. And I'll tell you, when people want to think that there's no hope out there, trust me that there are moments of bravery that are emerging. Last week, Republicans put on the floor a draconian, awful budget bill that cut billions from health care and from working people. In fact, one of the worst parts of what Republicans voted for, including Gabe Evans voted for last week, is cutting benefits for the PACT Act for veterans exposed to burn pits. Who does that? That's like cartoon villain stuff right there. And you know, but I will say, Colorado, that when other Democrats caved, your senators, Michael Bennet and John Hickenlooper, DC pressure and voted no. They said Colorado deserves better than this. And in fact, all the Democrats in the state of Colorado in Congress who represent a congressional district in the state voted against that bill too. House, Senate. So I want to thank Diana DeGette, Joe Neguse, Jason Crow, Brittany Patterson. Defend them, Colorado. And don't stop there. I want you to look at every level of office around and support Democrats who fight, because those are the ones who can actually beat Republicans. But our work isn't done here, because you know which Coloradans did vote to gut Medicaid and jack up health care costs? Gabe Evans and Lauren Boebert right next door. So folks, you know what that means, right? We need to come together and spend every day between now and Election Day working to educate our neighbors and give Evans and Boebert the boot and replace them. We will stand for Colorado. In fact, if you will indulge me for a moment, since Gabe hasn't been around here, if we could just say hi to him for a moment, can we just say hi? See you in November. Thank you. I'll make sure he sees that. But beyond elections, Greeley, our task here is to build community. That's the deeper mission that we have. Elections, they come and go. We do our work, we set the board. But in the meantime, and during, throughout, before, and after all of that, we need to build our bonds with each other as communities. Building community, block associations, neighborhood groups, volunteer groups, church organizations, PTAs, because community is the most powerful building block we have against fascism, to defeat authoritarianism, and to root out corruption. If you don't know your neighbor, it's easier to turn on them. That's why they want to keep us separated, alone, and apart, scrolling on our phones, thinking that the person next to us is some kind of enemy, but they're not. So I'll end where I began. We might all come from different places, but we share a lot of the same experiences. So to all of those who came here today unsure of whether this is where you belong, I want to tell you that you do. You do. Honestly, no matter voted for in the past, no matter if you know all the right words to say, no matter your race, religion, gender identity, or status, no matter if you disagree with me on a couple things. If you are willing to fight for someone you don't know, you are welcome here. If you are willing to fight for working people, regardless of who they are, how they identify, or where they come from, you are welcome here. But I will say this. Those leaders on either side of the aisle who are willing to put their fellow Americans down so that they can get ahead or feel better about themselves, those folks may best find a home somewhere else. Because in this house, we stand together. We know that that is our only choice. Because we know that without exception, if we stand together, it is the only way that we can win. So I hope that you see this movement is not about partisan labels or purity tests, but about class solidarity. The thousands of you who came out today to stand together and say our lives deserve dignity and our work deserves respect. No matter who we are or where we come from. We are here today to make a sacred promise to each other. Because our goal here today, and what I don't want for us today, what I want more for us today, is not just to come together, share a few inspiring words, and then go back to how things were. Can't do that. Our goal here today is to commit to building the kind of country we all deserve. So I'm going to take another second here. And I want each of you to turn to the people around you and get a good look. And I want you to greet someone you don't know. And this is awesome. And I think I don't want to interrupt. But it's because if I can offer one assignment today, before we all depart here, it's to leave this place connected to a new person you didn't know coming into this. Because Greeley, we do need to make that promise. We do need to take care of each other on our worst days and to share the successes of our best. And in making those promises to each other, that's how we're going to do it. No silver bullet, not from the top, but block by block. Thank you. The senator, the man, the friend, the person who has helped bring all of us here together today, Senator Bernie Sanders.